With Tag Manager, you can add JavaScript code to your website without engaging web developers. To add this code, you use tags and triggers. A tag contains the code, and triggers tell the tag when to fire. In this video, we'll add a custom event tag to track button clicks on the website. After this video, you should be able to create your own tags and triggers and know where custom events are reported in analytics. To track a click of a button, you need to create a custom event tag. You need to do it for events that are not tracked by default in analytics. Let's say we want to know how many times visitors click on a Get in Touch button on our homepage. We need to give our tag a name and choose the custom event tag. In the setup section, we have three fields: category, action, name, and value. They all describe our event. Let's fill them in. We'll call our category as click, and as our action, we'll use button. Please notice that each one of them has an X in brackets. This means that instead of using names, you could also use a variable. Those could be existing variables or variables that you added. What you choose depends on how you want to report it in analytics. For example, if there were several Get in Touch buttons on many different URLs, you could choose the page URL variable instead of typing the name. That way, you'll see on which page the visitor clicked the button. But we'll name ours as Home, Get in Touch, because our button is only on our home page. We'll also leave the value blank, but you can add a value if you want to count it for this event. We'll leave the custom dimension blank too. In our advanced tag settings, we'll leave the constant type as analytics to only track this event when a visitor consents for collecting analytics data. Now we need to add a trigger to our tag. The trigger will tell our tag when to fire, which is a click on a Get in Touch button. Let's name our trigger. As default, it's set to fire on all clicks, but we don't want that. We want our tag to fire on a specific click. For that, we'll need to know our button's ID or class attribute. You can use debug mode to find out our button's class or ID. Now we can click on our button. Every click will register an STG click event in the event log of the debug mode. After clicking on the STG click event, we need to go to variables and scroll down until we see the values for click class and click ID. We can see that our button has no ID, so we need to use click class. As an alternative, you could use a web inspector that is available in most browsers. Simply right-click on a button and choose Inspect Element, which will open a window in your browser with the highlighted element. Once we see highlighted element, we can copy its ID or class. Since we have the class of our button, we can go back to Tag Manager. In conditions, choose click class equals, and here we'll paste our copied class. If you're using our Audience Manager, you could also set to fire this tag for a certain group of visitors. But we want it to be fired for all visitors, so we won't set an audience here. When we are sure we've set all conditions correctly, we can check if our tag fires in a debug mode. Before that, we need to make sure our tag is active, which it should be. First, let's find our tag on the list. Then we need to find our button on our page. And finally, we need to switch on Prevent Page Reload because we want to click the button and stay on the current page. It looks like our tag works fine, so now we only need to publish it. After publishing our tag, the tracker will start collecting data about this event. All data will appear in Analytics Core reports under Custom Events. Here you'll see data grouped by category, action, and name, just as our custom event definitions. Also, you'll be able to see this data among dimensions when creating custom reports. There it will be custom event, custom category, and custom action. Thanks for watching. You can find more information on our Help Center.